Good evening. Welcome to this week's episode of Paranormal Lens. I'm Jamie Widener. Chad Thomas is on the other screen, whichever side that's on. What's up, buddy?
Not much. How are you tonight, Jamie?
It is. It's Tuesday. How's it
It is.
Tuesday? Right?
It
You
is
know,
Tuesday. Yep.
the week flies, the time goes. I mean, it's just amazing. Uh, that's not stopping us from having a great episode, though.
Nope. Exactly. And we
We're-
got friends joining us already.
Hey, everybody, welcome. Uh, For those who have not been with us before, and since we expanded into a whole lot of different platforms last week, I do want to take a moment to say here that this is live. We do not pre-record. We will upload all our first season episodes slowly and steadily along the way as we go. But the first two, I believe, were pre-recorded because we had no idea what the hell we were doing, and we didn't want to fumble. So
we do now.
What's that?
We do now.
Well,
That's a question.
We showed up, right? Like I can see you, so that's impressive, and people are here. So,
Yep.
But with that, we are live, and we are our original platform that we still work off of is our Facebook page for Jott-Nyx Paranormal, which we are members of the team, and our Jott-Nyx YouTube page. So there is some video here, so I will try to talk around that to explain it for those listening and not watching us. But it is the format we use, so. We're not going to change that, I don't think, anytime soon, because the pictures are pretty sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pictures say 1,000,000 words, 1,000 words, 20 words. What's that saying go?
The picture's worth 1,000 words.
1,000 words. Okay. Yeah. I'm old. I don't remember that one. That's weird. All right. Well, Chad Thomas, you want to get into it?
Yeah. Let's get into it.
All right. So tonight, I'm going to put my old man eyes on. Tonight, we are talking about the Brown Mountain Lights. Chad, what do you know about this? Anything?
Absolutely nothing.
Good. Perfect. Then I can make up anything I want. You won't know any better.
Exactly.
The internet does not allow me to do that because everybody can Google everything these days, right? So I came across the Brown Mountain Lights a couple years ago. I don't know. I want to say probably 15, 20 years ago, even by now. It's been a long time. As a phenomenon that I didn't really understand it at the time, and now that I've fully invested in being on a paranormal team and doing this podcast, of course, and all the research we do, it is something where I wish I would have known more because I've been in the area, and when I was in the area, because I could have gone and checked it out myself. So, but not to say we can't do that. Now, it's reasonable. We keep talking about doing road trips, right? Like. We should have some kind of a map, and this could easily be on a trip to North Carolina. It's not too far away from the area that would be like the Northwest. So it's not far from Virginia. It's not far from Tennessee. About 8 hours from where we both sit now in Lancaster County, PA. So, it's a road trip, right?
Right.
And as many times as you've been running back to the west side of the state this last couple of weeks, I think it's probably like a day trip at this point. Right?
Exactly. It could be, yeah.
This is where self-driving cars really come in handy. Take that nap. So let's get into it. So the Brown Mountain is in Burke County, North Carolina. As I mentioned, it's in the northwestern corner. It is a mountain that's characterized by its rugged relief, and it's an unassuming ridge in the foothills of the Appalachians. It is also the site of a phenomenon that's been documented since at least the beginning of the 20th century, which is called the Brown Mountain Lights or the Brown Mountain Ghost Lights. You can find it either way. Like other examples of ghost lights, the illuminations at Brown Mountain appear and disappear sporadically and seemingly without cause. So, kind of interesting, right? So here's where we are, and I'm showing a map here of the area that the Brown Mountain is in. Up to the left corner, you're going to see Johnson City and Kingsport. That is Tennessee, not too far, an hour and a half, 2 hours away. Asheville, I'm sorry, is about 90 miles, 70 miles to the southwest. And if you go about an hour and 15, hour and 20 due east, you run into Winston-Salem and the Triangle area. And Charlotte's a good hour and a half to the southeast. So, it's tucked up in there, and it is definitely the Appalachians. So there is, it's full mountains. It is rugged country. Of course, we populated this area quite a lot through the years, but it is still it's in the Blue Ridge Parkway as well. So it is a lot of state parks, a lot of so wild mountain land out there. So it's a peak that it is a peak of 2,600 feet, but it has a flat top. So it is not a peaked mountain. It is more like a plateau, and it's mistaken for a ridge very, very often. The Johns River passes on the southern face of the mountain. So there's water. It was always a travel way through for Native Americans originally, and then settlers and colonizers as we came in off the coastland, started moving from east to west. And the mountain is composed of cranberry granite, which is the same as the surrounding territory. So I'm saying that because that way we're not seeing anything uniquely different in the composition of the mountain that might give it something different as far as characteristics or what it could do, what it could be.
Right.
Let's go one more slide. So the visual I'm showing here, are some of the captures of the lights themselves. So the Brown Mountain lights are identified as orb-like lights that hover above and around the peak of Brown Mountain. The first reported sightings are from Cherokee and Catawba Native Americans, and the tribal oral history claims that the lights have been spotted for several hundred years. Now it's oral history, right? So we talked about this before in many episodes now, where oral history, and I'm not knocking it because it's still documented history,
Right.
but it is whispered down the lane to some degree. The story changes, the remembrance changes, because you're having a memory of a memory of a memory. So
Right.
Some of this could be fantastic and true, and some of this could just be a bit of a stretch. So that thought. In colonial times, early settlers reported seeing the lights around the mid-1700s. In the Civil War era, this was a contested region. The Civil War soldiers from both sides reported seeing the lights as well. And these folks, with troops moving through the area, most were not from Western North Carolina. So many did not have any prior knowledge of the phenomenon, and they were considering them to be enemy forces moving under the cover of darkness down the mountain, or up the mountain, either way, which is interesting. So the claims, and I should have reached out to you on this beforehand, Checks. I know you have a wonderful feature where you can look at old newspaper clippings, and I don't have the time of the year to knock this down any better, but there was a report in 1913 in the Charlotte Daily Observer. It's an article that is detailing the enigmatic lights that engaged a local fishing club with its mysterious appearances and disappearances. The article stated that the lights tended to manifest at 9:30 p.m., or between 9:30 and 10, actually, nearly every single night while they were out fishing. The Charlotte Daily Observer article led to an increased public and scientific interest in the area, and has prompted investigations by prominent institutions like the Smithsonian, the U.S. Weather Bureau, as well as actual explorations by the U.S. Geological Survey in 1913, 1922, and later on in 1971. Quite interesting. The government got involved. So you know what happens then, right? Nothing.
Yep.
So I'll get to that. The Brown Mountain lights are often reported as small star-like dots with brightness comparable to stars in the night sky. Their motion varies from being slow-moving to that of fireworks being launched. You can kind of see some of this, especially the bottom image here. It's like this streaky thing going across the sky. Otherwise, a bright, orby, kind of bright spotlights almost. Their motion varies. The other claims the lights simply hover in place over the mountain. The lights are often seen from the Linville Gorge area and nearby Table Rock Mountain and Hawksbill Mountain as well. These are kind of the surrounding territory of the Brown Mountain itself. Some stories always go, right, with things like this. Local folklore says that the lights are the ghosts of a mother and her child that were murdered in the Jonas Ridge community, which is a little bit off to the west. They're out there trying to flee from their assailant in the woods. Folklore also claims that the lights are from the lamp of a slave searching for his long-lost master who got lost while hunting and never returned. This rendition was made into a song called Brown Mountain Lights, which is originally recorded by Scotty Wiseman, but was later covered by a band you may have heard of called the Kingston Trio. Yeah, we know them from the 70s, 60s, 70s. More stories, and this one I love. This one is, there's a lot of reasons why I love this story, but you'll figure that out by the end. But it's about UFOs. Okay.
Okay.
Why not, right? Lights in the sky, weird things happening, stuff moving around. It's got to be. And this is from an era when we did not have another name for things in the sky other than UFOs, unidentified flying objects. Now we call them UAPs. We've changed the dynamic a little bit on what we know, and certainly a lot more has come to light. But this is back in 1965. So a gentleman named Ralph Lael, Lael, say it any way you want to, claimed to see the lights while visiting Linville Gorge. He claimed they were so bright that you could read a newspaper by the shining of it. Instead of running away, he followed the lights through the forest and into a secret cave. When inside, the orb-like lights introduced itself as a gas-based life form from Venus.
What?
It's going to get weirder. Hang on.
Okay.
The orb told him, "Do not fear. There is no danger here." If that's not weird enough, Leo goes on to claim that he traveled to Venus and the natives allowed him to fornicate with their voluptuous queen. He was then transported back to Earth, where he chronicled his adventures into a pamphlet titled The Brown Mountain Lights. It does exist. I just didn't get a copy in time.
Okay.
So there's a fun fact to this. And this is I think this is actually probably where I remember knowing more about this all that time ago. This fantastic story was the inspiration for a 1999 X-Files episode titled Field Trip that was set on the actual Brown Mountain. Mulder and Scully were sent to investigate the mysterious death of two hikers, but they find that even though their bodies were there, the hikers aren't really dead, but being held captive in a cave. Kind of like Mr. Leo drifted into a cave. And
right.
Of course, Mulder believes this to be the work of aliens and that the lights are in fact UFOs. I too want to believe.
That's a little fantastical.
It is, isn't it? Though I mean, okay, maybe with the idea of like an orb and some, something talking to him, but the whole going to Venus and well, doing the dirty with the queen.
I
think just saw Jim's comment. Yeah, I think he did have some mushrooms, Jim. Be wary of the spotted ones. They will cloud your judgment. Gosh, I can't make this up. You can find it. So that's the end of Mr. Leal. I'm sure he has been laughed out of many a diner and other establishment in his area through the years. But, he believed it enough to where is that aluminum foil? You're right. That's what we really need. We need foil hats for these episodes. It's something. So, okay, fantastical, funny stuff aside, there is really something going on here. So what could it be? Swamp gas is one theory. Now, that is the generalness here is that gases are emitted, escape from the swamp, which is basically methane. It has the ability to illuminate somewhat as it's released, and it dissipates as it rises. So that's a great idea. But given the lack of any marshes and the generally inconsistent nature of natural gas being released and combusting, this theory has been debunked. Simply put, you need a swamp to have swamp gas.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Much like you need a hot summer day to have swamp something else. Rhymes with gas. Think about
it. Yep.
I like this one a lot. Moonshine stills. So, okay. Mountain people are industrious folks. They like to figure out how to make stuff. They make things like moonshine, which really doesn't need a whole lot of this. Some simple equipment and some general raw materials can be made readily and easily, but it's also highly illegal. So considering the regular schedule of some of the lights through the years, this could be a possibility, especially during the Prohibition era when booze wasn't legal at all overall.
Right.
But given the need for a very large operation to cover the area the lights have been seen, and that no traces of any such activity has been found, this is unlikely to be the cause. Although I think I'd like to have it be, moonshine. I have
Well,
had some. I have southern relatives, sir, and I have had some moonshine that I'm pretty sure that I couldn't see for a little while after I blacked out.
Amanda has an idea here.
Oh, yes, that's everything right there. It is. It's the answer for all of this. Everything we do is a weather balloon.
So,
Sure, why not?
well, other than they didn't have weather balloons when the Native Americans were first, so and they didn't have
Absolutely.
moonshine stills either. So
I know.
so
But
anyway, keep going, Jamie. Sorry to.
jump in. That's great. Another potential is something called Andes Light, which is the Andes being the Andean mountains in
Okay.
South America.
I
This
thought maybe it
phenomenon,
was. I thought maybe it was Andy from Toy Story, and like, no, not that Andy.
well, it's the ANDES spelling, which you can't see, of course. And my first thought is Andes mints, which are those delicious, treats. You never have just one. So that's when you're going out of Olive Garden and you do the scoop. They don't put them on the counter anymore just because they know I'm coming.
Anyway, Andy's
The
mountain.
Andes phenomenon, the Andes lights, is a phenomenon that involves silent electrical discharges in mountainous regions, and which has long been considered because these are mountains. Now, there's a difference between the Andes and the Appalachians, right? You're talking something that's 12, 14,000 feet versus something that's 2 to 3,000 at max. So the elements are not the same. The geological and atmospheric conditions are different in both of these places. So it's highly unlikely that there's enough atmospheric environment there to the lightness of air at the elevation to have this phenomenon occur in the Appalachians. So it's largely been ruled out.
Okay.
But here's the one: aliens. Right? You gotta go there.
Yeah, well, you do.
Given that the description of an unidentified flying object is a mysterious object in the sky for which no orthodox scientific explanation can be found, it's given that people claim that we are not alone on Brown Mountain. Okay. The additional claims that the lights appear to have intelligent control further add to this. So they seem to be moving intentionally. And, step back a second, considering Ralph Leal's claim, it would appear that they've landed.
True. Yeah.
Right. Probably looking for someone else to take the Venus. Hey, I'm glad they're from Venus and not Uranus. I couldn't stop making jokes if that were the case. So, another thing it could be is ball lightning, BALL. And this is a rare and unexplained phenomenon generally described as luminescent spherical or objects that vary from pea size to several meters in diameter. It also produces a distinct hissing sound when it appears. It is notable to share that ball lightning often occurs during a thunderstorm, and since the majority of the Brown Mountain light sightings are on clear nights, this is a challenged theory as well. But the idea would be that the discharge, it's like static electricity. We rub our feet enough across the carpet in the wintertime, there's enough energy in the air in the room. Next thing we touch that's charged, will zap us. So it is plausible still, even though, the phenomenon is largely, as you see in some of these images, clear nights, but it does happen also during storms and other times. One more theory, or at least one more, is that it's a train. So one of the earliest documented tales is from Josiah Lafayette Fate Wiseman. He is songwriter Scotty Wiseman's great uncle, so there's some lineage here, who claimed when camping near Brown Mountain around 1854 that he saw a flash in the distance near the mountain. Each night the flash would reappear within 30 minutes of the original time. While this sounds supernatural, it actually coincides with the schedule of a train traveling between Morgantown and Salisbury that turned the bend and its lights were facing his direction, but only temporarily while it moved along. It also should be noted that there was a flood in the region in 1916 and the train service stopped for a time because the Johns River flooded.
Right.
And during that time, the lights were still reported while the train was inoperable. So likely not a train.
Right. Okay.
So get to the next slide here. For the scientific minded, there is a belief that for clear weather sightings, at least, a refradition of stars may occur due to layers of unstable air causing a visible inversion. And the diagram here that we're showing is literally from the Appalachian State University's website, where they're trying. I'll get into them in a moment too, because they're doing some cool stuff with this. But what they're saying is that light from above, when viewed against cold air coming down and warm air below, can appear to flip so that your horizon is below you and your ground is above. So it'll be basically dark above. It still looks like night sky, because night sky is generally dark without stars. But the starlight that would generally be above you at that time appears to be below, which would put it in line with a viewpoint, an elevated viewpoint against the mountain, would make it look like it's below. And while not exactly the same thing, the idea when you're outside on a hot day and you're looking down like a sidewalk or a road, and you see, the wavy kind of imagery of heat. So it's that spirit of the heat being below and cooling as it's going up.
So that thermal layer becomes like a mirror and inverts things, basically. Yes. Is what happens. Okay.
I knew you would make that sound smarter than I did. Thank you.
The problem I have with that one is if it's moving, the stars or you wouldn't be moving that quickly. So
not saying it's right, just saying it's a theory.
Interesting. Okay.
And then, for those watching us, I love this. Somebody drew this and it's now a thing. So not exactly a high-tech piece of graphic here for us, which we don't have high-tech graphics anyway. So here we are. Also, electricity was available in the Brown Mountain region as early as the 1880s. So after it was introduced, the claims of the mysterious lights significantly increased, which would make sense because people would have lights, right?
Right.
Well, this again is a rational explanation, and I guess it still is. For the time and still now, people have lights. We all have lights. This is a fairly rural area, and the electric lines needed to run lights would have been very difficult to install on and around the mountain. They would have gone to the valley around the mountain, not over it, to get there. Like they would have followed the train line or the river line, something like that. So lights up on the mountain really wouldn't be a thing. And it also should be noted that the U.S. Geological Survey that was conducted in 1922 attributed, or maybe better said, dismissed the lights to locomotive and car lights, as well as campfires and people sleeping out on the mountain. So they basically said, nah, it's nothing, which means it's something, right? When the government says no.
Right. If they're discounting certain things, that means, interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to be clear to say I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm really not. I think there's always a rational explanation for something, but we've seen too much. And we, as far as claims of things against, and now are things that are coming forward, like UFOs, all of a sudden now we have a dump of information that shows this has been going on for quite a while. We have record of it. So it just leads to that moment. So like things that make you go, So, all right. So speaking of investigations, I mentioned Appalachian State's been investigating here with the graphic I'm showing you now, and I'll get to a little bit more. They have created a university research council to explore the Brown Mountain lights. It's been in play for many, many years now. The council includes scientists, astronomers, geologists, professional photographers, and outdoor recreation specialists. They do research trips to the key viewing sites, but the actual sightings that occur for them are very, very, very rare. In addition to going to field visits, they have established research centers around the visibility of the light sources, including flashlights, car lights, campfires, and planes taking off and landing at nearby Morganton-Lenoir Airport that correspond with locally reported sighting locations. So when people are out somewhere, they say, I saw the lights. I saw the light. They document the location the person was at, and then they go out and they try to physically test how it could have been seen. Okay. And obviously they don't control airplanes. I guess they could theoretically. So it's a regional airport, much like here or Lancaster Airport. There's lots of small planes coming and going. It's not a hub like Charlotte would be. But in that, they're trying to go back out there, and then, they know where the sighting was in the general direction. They're going to try to get somebody on the other end of it and give it that test method of just call and response, visible sight.
Right. So, well, and with the airports, they would have documentations of when planes came and went and things like that. So
they should have transponders, right? Things like that. So the other thing, and I thought this was really cool, and this is something we all can do actually, is that they have created two different locations for static cams that are watching the mountain every night. The cameras are aimed at the mountain and 24/7. 2 cameras are directed, and they can be viewed by the general public via the following links, which I'll throw into the comments a little later. But the camera 1, which is this one, runs nightly at or near dusk until dawn and is aimed directly at Brown Mountain. Camera 2 runs from midnight until 5 a.m. And that is only due because it has fees associated to the satellite internet connection it has, and they can't afford to run it all night. And it's aimed at the Linville Gorge area, which you've heard earlier is one of the sighting locations. So it's aimed at a place where there's been a lot of reported sightings through the millennia here. So while there are numerous personal sightings reported, it should be noted that little to no activity has been captured to date by these cameras. Maybe they're in the wrong place, and it's really a true story to say that things that are not on demand, right? We say that all the time. So perhaps tonight will be the night.
So I'm going to throw this comment up. So Todd wanted to know if any information, if sightings were prevalent during one time of the year versus another.
Yep, I will get there in a moment, sir.
Okay.
One step ahead, maybe 2 steps ahead.
And Bert said they need to set up a webcam.
Yeah, I know, right? It'd be great if they could do that. I think here's a screenshot, obviously, of it, and it's there. Right. I love how they're giving you some general idea of what you're looking at, because it's, again, what we're seeing on this side is a rural area, but as you look at the other side of the mountain, there's definitely populace over there.
Right.
Where Hickory is, Lenore, the town where the airport is. There's definitely a lot of light out that way, and I can speak to this from my own experience living in the Southwest. When I lived in Phoenix, and I lived near South Mountain, which is the southeast side of city, and I could take a 30-minute drive and go down to, I forget the name of the pass now, but hook a right and then go on the back side of the mountain and be not completely, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say it that way, largely in the desert, because now there's population sprawl back on that side too. But Phoenix, like the largest city in the country, there's people everywhere. Right. There is so much light pollution on the city side of South Mountain in the basin but when you go on the other side of the mountain, you lose a lot of it, and you see, the stars are just so much brighter. So I can imagine that as you're looking at the mountain from this side, anything that's elevated is going to get into the bleed of just light pollution. And right. I would think the better view would be from the other way, but maybe that's where Linville Gorge is. I can't tell from this image. So, but that's something I always thought was fascinating, how light does, and we're East Coasters too, right? So we're lost in a lot of light pollution because all of our cities are built here first as we moved west. Right. So we're denser here than we are in places in the West and the Midwest. But I've been in some places where, it's just amazing how many stars there really are that you just can't see here. So it's pretty cool. All right. So let's start to wrap this guy up. So if you go, there's a couple of vantage points to check out. First one is Wiseman's View. And remember the Wiseman's, from the song and also from some of the original sightings way back when. This is about 5 miles south of Linville Falls, and the lookout area here is in Pisgah National Forest. Also, you can go to the Brown Mountain Overlook, which is actually where this sign's from. It's about 20 miles north of Morganton. It's on Highway 181, and one of the Appalachian State University cameras is directed at Brown Mountain from this area. So this is camera 1. And lastly, Lost Cave Cliffs Overlook. This is on the Blue Ridge Parkway at milepost 310, about 2 miles north of the I-81 junction. So there's a few things to do, and then this is again. While spotting the lights is never a guarantee, and much like paranormal activity, it's not on demand. Your best chance to see them would be on clear, dry nights in either October or November. Talking to you on this one, Todd, and especially after the leaves have dropped from the trees. And to be fair, the lights are also been spotted on moonless nights too. So if it's cloudy, it's not going to necessarily be a detriment. It might actually help with some of the elements there. But again, it goes to why is it October, November, and not February and March? Other than it being spooky season, I think that's cool.
Right.
So to wrap up, put a pretty bow on all of this. Given the folklore, repeated sightings, and growing belief that we may not be alone in the universe, the Brown Mountain Lights are a fascinating phenomenon to me. Having grown up in the area of Project Blue Book and Area 51 and the lack of scientific reasoning for the occurrences, I definitely agree with FBI Special Agent Fox Mulder, and I too want to believe. But I really like some proof too. So, Appalachian State, bring it home, baby. So let's talk about this, right? And what do you think, first of all, Chad?
Plausible. I mean,
that's what we're here for, right? Is it paranormal or not? That's our question. The yes, no, maybe.
I mean, obviously, things that go back before the European settlers. If we have the hand down through history, verbal history of things, so that sort of knocks out a lot of the electrical train. Like, if it happened before all that stuff was here, then something's there. Something happened. Right. The fact that you've got evidence that the trains weren't running and they were still having the same, it's plausible. I'd like to see it, but doing some quick searches, there's in 2016 there's some video of it captured. So I can't watch it while we're doing the show, but I'm going to dig into it and see what's out there. And like Todd said, here's a new way to kill some time if you late at night.
This is perfect for the insomniac, right? The paranormal insomniac. If you're not going out investigating, you might as well do this. I love the idea though of the steady cams. Like the static cams being set up,
right?
And it's much like a security camera at your house, right? We all have Ring cameras or whatnots these days. It's easy to do, and you don't know what you're going to catch, and more times than not, it's the neighborhood cat walking through your yard, or whatever. But when it's the burglar, you're glad you have it. So having this is that same thing to me. It's probably going to be catching a lot of just bugs flying by, orbs. My bad. But I wish Dave was here. With that, the one time that you do catch the actual element happening, it's going to be amazing. So.
So Jenny has a comment here: quartz plus magnetite, and a cool enough night would definitely explain the lights from my physicist's brain. The electrical charges would definitely look like lights.
There we are.
So,
and the idea that they are not huge balls of light, as far as just like massive things, that would make a lot of sense too for like a discharge. And I think that makes sense. It really does. Thanks, Beanie. Appreciate that.
So, I mean, like I said, I think there's something there. It's, let's see if we can document more of it. And
yep.
So,
and it's only 8 hours, 7 hours and 51 minutes. Google Maps. So I'm sure we can make it in 7.
Yeah,
maybe. It's a side trip on the way down to next time we get down to see Steve Dills. So hope you're here soon for the bash. Actually, it's a side trip.
Yeah, Jenny, I agree. Not that the mystery isn't more fun. I agree.
Sure. So. Well, we all love a good story, right? I mean, that's the thing about all of this, and when we have things that go back hundreds of years, it wouldn't last if it wasn't a good story.
Right.
It's worth telling, and it excites and it intrigues and it scares, and we all like that, something to hook on. And obviously something has to still occur, or else it kind of does fade away. So with the randomness of occurrences, and largely these things happen in pre-documentation, without cameras or reliable cameras from distances, and camera videos now. It would have been, all it would have taken was the buzz of the story happening to gain the interest back again.
Right.
I would love to get to the area sometime just to talk about the locals, what they think of it, because there are plenty of tales of people, and around here, it's frowned upon to go into like state parks and stuff after dark, right? Because
Right.
usually it's some nefarious activity, or something illegal. Or there, people roll out into the woods, and there is still wildlife out there. There are still risks. There are drop offs and these overlooks, things like that. Even though they have safety rails and stuff, people still do stupid stuff given the
Well,
opportunity.
well, an interesting thing about some of the state parks away from this area, they don't have safety rails. Like when I went out to Alex, and I went out to Illinois and saw one of the like inland seas that had been there. That's now a state park. There are drop offs that are wide open, and there's signs warning that steep drop offs. Stay back. So
All right. Well, I can speak to driving down many back roads of Virginia. Coming around hairpin turns, and the guardrail is actually below the road.
uh-huh.
What are we doing here? Is it going to catch my tailpipe as I go over? Hook me? It's just many a road out in the Lynchburg area. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Yeah. That old territory in the past life. Yeah. So the good news is, you can only do like 20 on the road anyway, because it's so
Right.
windy and steep, but still the guardrails are below the road grade. Okay.
So yeah, what do you guys think? Put a comment in, let us know. Even if if you're listening to the recording down the road, drop us a comment and just give us your feedback. What do you think? So
I'm going to say I want to believe this. I really do, but I'm challenged to think that it is something other than a scientific reasoning to the activity. It's fun, fantastic to believe that UFOs or something of the spirit, UAPs, whatever we're going to call them now, they're there. And, Mr. Leal's story is, wow.
that one, I don't know that I can get behind that one, James.
No, I can't either. But, in the sense of it, it is one of those things that draw people's attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even if it weren't all of the extra, just that there is the idea that it would be an alien at that point, then, something
Right.
of not of this earth anyway, or some other form that, we just can't see at all times, maybe the right atmospheric conditions, that has some intelligence. That's pretty interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe any of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is still one of those things. Once that happened, and it drew more interest, and that next thing happened, it drew more interest or kept people interested. The fishing club that was documenting their story back in 1913 to the Charlotte Observer, that drew that drew the government in.
Right.
It just caught fire, and this is without things going virtual as they are now, or viral as they are now.
So Amanda says, I feel like there has to be an explanation for something like this. I just feel like the aliens wouldn't be so obvious, but who knows? I'm open-minded. So
yeah, you would think aliens would be way cooler than this, right? They've been around long enough. They know what to do. Blended in. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, so that is my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
So thanks for indulging me on the Brown Mountain Lights. It was fun. This was a lot of fun to research, actually.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jamie, thank you for doing the research. Like I said, I didn't know anything about this going into it. Even when I was trying to put together the thing, I didn't want to find out too much information. That's the worst part about trying to put the promo together, to get to get some bait out there to get people interested, but not tell too much.
Yeah.
So.
You gotta. It's a little worm on a big hook, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, before we go to without forgetting this, I want to note that the sources for this, obviously Appalachian State University was a huge resource, and their website is pretty good. If you just Google Brown Mountain Lights, you'll find them almost immediately, and then that's where the links are to get to the webcams. But also discoveryuk.com had a fantastic article. They dug pretty deep. And of course, our old friends at Atlas Obscura, where the original idea for this a couple months ago came to my mind as a remembrance of it all. So some really cool stuff out there. And there's a lot, again, this has been, especially as we move forward in technology and advancement of documentation methods, there's been a lot more lately, in modern, we'll call modern history, the last 20, 25 years, with all the technology upgrades we've gotten. So there's still a lot out there, in written history too, but documented history, written history, but there's a lot of video and a lot of photos and a lot of cool stuff there. So If you're at all interested, check it out.
So, Kyle, you came in on the end of Brown Mountain Lights, but definitely check it out. It was an interesting story. So,
yep. All right, I will not be at the bash, guys. I'm sorry. So we keep talking about the bash, which is the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, if I get the full title correctly. The Paranormal Expo happening in Gettysburg, PA this weekend. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday early day, I think. I will be heading to the Poconos myself this weekend. So previous plans can't make it, but I think you're going, Chad. Is that correct?
I am going to be there Friday afternoon, and maybe sometime Saturday, but definitely Friday. So looking forward to seeing everybody who'll be there. Catching up with Mr. Dills, our good friend, and a bunch of other people. Ron and Lourdes and Tony are going to be there running Staticom in a room. So they're going to be doing long demonstrations of it and explaining how it works. And I'm super stoked for that. So
that's my one remiss that I can't catch up with him. Tell him I said hi.
I will.
So very cool. And we'll talk more about this next week, obviously. I'm sure there'll be much more to catch up on with other. There's a lot. It's a expo. There are vendors, of course, but then there are also workshops and trainings and informational sessions and lots of cool stuff. So if you're at all in the area, I think there might be some tickets at the door.
That's the only way they sell tickets, I believe.
Okay, that's right. Some of the vendor stuff has to be in advance. So
exactly.
I know, Jenny. I know. And we'll talk about them with Staticom in a second with what's coming up with us. But I'm so stoked. For a couple of months away, still the suspense is building. But
because you still haven't experienced it live, have you?
I have not. I have not. We were at the Red Mill a full year ago, and at the end of last summer, I guess. And I had a broken foot. So the Red Mill was a death trap for somebody in a walking boot. No offense, Jim. I just didn't want to risk my life on those stairs. It was a very sad day for me when I realized I wasn't going to be able to make it. And the funny thing is, I got the boot off like 2 weeks later. So
I'm excited for our event because Melissa has already asked me if I will introduce Ron and Lourdes. So I get to do that. So.
That's awesome. Very cool. So, we get to spend a whole night with them too. That's pretty great. So, I'm ready. Let's do it. So speaking of stuff, right? So let's move on.
So stuff coming up. Next week, I'm going to tackle the interesting topic of table tipping. I got interested in this a couple years ago, actually at the Bash. I sat down for a session, a group session with Stephanie Burke, and went back last year. She'll be there again this year. I'm hoping to catch up with her and talk to her and find out a little bit about where she learned things, get some more information from somebody who does it, and then give you history and things like that. I'm going to butcher this. Hoya Bachi Forest.
Close. Bacio.
Jamie will be doing that August 6th. Laurel Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia is the one that I'm going to tackle August 13th. That was by request. That goes by several different names, but when I started looking it up, that's the official name. Then Tulpa. Jamie will be doing that. Folklore of Ireland, the Puka, and Haunted Polly's Island are what we've got scheduled right now. So we've got some interesting episodes coming up. So we've got that. And you want to talk about this one, Jamie? Because I know you're super stoked.
Yeah. So we, if you've been with us for a while, we were talking about events we had coming up at the brewery. Boo's Brewery, our home base, where we do public paranormal investigations, and we only had dates up through September 7th. So we finally got past all of the, and it wasn't really a whole lot of hurdling on either end. It was just a matter of getting the right person to do the right thing at the right time to get everything uploaded. But the new dates are now up, and this is the one that we were both bursting over. So on October 19th, we have a special event where we are bringing in Daryl Marston from A&E's Ghost Hunters and Ronnie Lourdes with Staticom. And we have a public event, it's a ticketed event, of course. And coming in, you will get to investigate with Daryl, with Staticom, with our team, Jott-Nyx Paranormal, at Historic Boobies Brewery in Mountjoy, Pennsylvania. So tickets are available. The link is up and running. It's at boobiesbrewery.com. We've sold some tickets already, so they're starting to go. And this, I think, has a cap, and I don't know what that head count cap is yet, but I'll get that for you soon for another episode. But with that, we're going to get to a point where eventually we're not going to have any more seats. So if you're at all interested, you're able to get to our area. There is lots of lodging in the area. Boobies actually has a bed and breakfast concept inside the hotel building that we're in, as well as an Airbnb across the street. So if you Google them and go to their website and whatnot, you'll see the lodging options there. It's a building is on the National Historic Registry, so it's a forever old place, and it's got a lot of great history, and that's why we're there to investigate the Boobie family. And if you're going to Google it, I say this all the time, Bubes, not the other spelling, because you will not get the same thing. And
definitely not. So
depending on your permissions, you might not be able to see much anyway. So
I believe Todd and Carmela are going to be coming into that event, and there are 28 tickets left right now. 28. So yep,
we're getting there. Oh man, Todd and Carmela, Chad and Jamie, all in the same place at the same time. Shenanigans and fun are about to occur. Fantastic. Looking forward to it.
Yep. So
that ties into the other events that we have coming as well. So let's get there. I clicked and you clicked. Right?
Yep.
Can't double click or triple click or double click, whatever it is.
Yep. So we've got our regular public investigations coming up. The August 10th. September is another double event month for regular public investigations. Then October 12th is a regular public investigation. Like we said, the 19th is the Spooktacular event. And then November 16th and then December 7th. So that's us through the end of the year. Looking forward to it. Heather will be there and definitely wants to be part of the shenanigans.
The Shenanigans is your middle name, I know. So yes, of course.
So we've got that going on. And then we're going to put our social media up, Jamie. There's something new on here. See if you can spot it.
Ooh, I see. What's this Facebook thing?
No, that's not new. That's
not. That's the Facebook. I'm sorry. That's why I was wrong. I see Spotify. Look at that.
Well,
and I see an email address.
Exactly. We've got two new.
Holy crap.
We do have an email address now. That's paranormallenspodcast@gmail.com. Spotify, there's a web link, but if you go on Spotify or Spotify for podcasters or Apple Music or Audible and search for Paranormal Lens, you will find us.
Right there.
So we're getting there.
Yep. And this is my shameless plug moment. So if you find us via the traditional, podcast sites, leave us a review if you can. If not, leave us some stars. The more the merrier. We like 5. We're not greedy. If there's 6, we won't ask for them. But the reason for it is that we can get some feedback and see how we're doing. We're trying to bring you great content every week. We're trying to bring you something fun and interesting every week. We are imperfectly happy with the way we do things, but we can certainly strive to get better, and we do.
Exactly.
One thing I thought I would never ever do when we started this out, and I'm sitting in front of a laptop. Chad's got a monster wall of monitors, and he's official. He's like he's in his tech dungeon, kind of thing. I actually got myself a microphone. So it was like, I listened to last week's episode and realized my audio at least was So hopefully we can start to upgrade some equipment, start to do some things a little better, a little cleaner, a little crisper. And the bonus of listening to this podcast is you don't have to see us, because we're just dudes. But if you're connecting with us, we'd love to hear about it. We'd love to know you're out there. Love to know that makes a difference what you're catching from us. It's something that enlightened you at least a little bit, maybe amused you a bit more too. Let us know. And you have our email there. Just shoot us an email off and say, hey, if you have a topic, I want you guys to do this, or you've got a story of your own that we can explore, that's certainly really cool, and we'd love to do so.
Yeah, if you have a story and want to explore, want us to dig into it, we would be happy to have you on the air and talk about it and stuff. Jamie, I'm glad your microphone's clear now, because we had somebody from Italy listening, and they're so far away. It's got to be clear audio.
I have to talk louder. Yeah. No.
So that's the other interesting thing. We can see the demographics of where people are and stuff like that. So that's sort of cool.
This is truly the World Wide Web now. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us. That's really cool.
So,
bonjour. That's all I got.
Bonjour, isn't it?
That's all I got, man. She even said that. I feel like a fool. So, all right. Okay, then. So
on that note, yeah.
The end of another one, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2 is on a roll. Let's keep it going.
Yeah. And I'll be up next week. Jamie, have a great trip. I know you're getting away for a couple days.
Yep.
I know you and the family and the dog are gone, so have fun.
We're gonna go find some woods and disappear for a little while. Yeah, it's a little decompressive weekend. So
good.
Yeah, thank you, and same to you. Enjoy the bash. I know you're doing some family stuff as well in the mix of that. So same thing. Safe travels back and forth. Tell everybody I said hi, and I'll catch them next year.
Okay, sounds good.
Somewhere in between, I'm sure, but we're all learning each other. But
so
really cool.
So, all right. Well, on that note, again, thank you to everybody, and we will see you next week.
Yeah. Until then, have a great week, all.
All right. Good night.